Swift Jarrett Hurd makes drastic changes ahead of his rematch with Julian J. Rock Williams. After his loss to Julian J. Rock Williams, he fired longtime trainer Ernesto. Now he has cut off all his hair, which he was known for, his trademark hair, ahead of the rematch with Julian J. Rock Williams this upcoming November, which is rumored to take place in Philadelphia. Swift Jarrett Hurd making some drastic changes. Stay tuned, coming up next.
Hey, this is Cassie, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout outs to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, habla Cindy, está viendo Deportes TV.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So Swift Jarrett Hurd, we know, lost his belts to Julian J. Rock Williams. Julian J. Rock Williams is now the unified 154-pound champion. Swift Jarrett Hurd is making some drastic changes ahead of the rematch. As we anticipate, this upcoming November is most likely going to take place in Philadelphia this time. The first fight took place in D.C. in the backyard of Swift Jarrett Hurd. Now it's seeming like the rematch will take place in Philadelphia, as that's the hometown of Julian J. Rock Williams, and he's now the unified super welterweight champion, right? Ahead of that, Ernesto was the longtime trainer of Swift Jarrett Hurd. He has now been fired, and now Swift Jarrett Hurd has also cut off his trademark hair, his blonde lock. He had one lock hanging down, you know, and like a mohawk, a la Odell Beckham Jr., right? And now he has got rid of his hair. He said time for a fresh start, new beginning, trying to, you know, get back on track, right? My only worry and concern when you see fighters and athletes do things like this, drastic changes, you know, it seems like they try too hard, you know, and then, you know, they're just never the same, right? When you make all these drastic changes like this, you know, cutting off your hair, you know, firing your trainer, you know, it makes me believe there's a lot of distractions to begin with. And it's worrisome, right? The reason it's worrisome is because, you know, it comes across as you're blaming everything and everybody for your loss, but the actual opponent, right? Meaning that are you giving your opponent enough credit, is what I'm saying, right? So your opponent could have been very, very underrated in your eyes, right? And so now you're judging it based off of, you know, oh, my trainer, you know, I need a new trainer. I need to change my trainer. Oh, I need to cut my hair off. That's part of the problem. You know, I need to get rid of this and get rid of that. You know, it just comes off, and it's worrisome when an athlete does this, because it seems like, you know, your focus is not the opponent, but your focus is the fact that everything around you is the reasoning for you coming up short, for your shortcomings. And that's a very sticky place for an athlete to be in, because if you go in the ring in the second time and this guy's having success early, meaning Julian J. Rock Williams, not this guy, your opponent is having success again early, and you pointed blame at your hair, a new change, a new trainer, you know, things of that nature. And now you're not having success, you know, you could tank early, because then it may spark something in your brain that this guy is just a better fighter, right? I can't beat this guy. And then you start to see fallback, meaning you start to see a little version of quit. Not that Swift Jarrett Hurd has any quit in him, but I'm saying that you second guess yourself in the middle of the action, and you start to tell yourself, you know what, it wasn't everything else. It's actually my opponent. And that could very well be the case in this situation, right? Styles make fights. It seems as Julian J. Rock Williams is a bad style matchup for Swift Jarrett Hurd, right? His boxing ability, Jarrett Hurd wasn't the stronger fighter in the ring. Jarrett Swift Hurd is used to being the stronger fighter in the ring. He didn't come across as the stronger fighter in the ring. Actually, Julian J. Rock Williams was able to stand his ground. He was actually able to push Jarrett Swift Hurd back, or Swift Jarrett Hurd back at times. His inside boxing ability seemed to be better than Swift Jarrett Hurd. On the inside, he was more accurate. He was more precise. You know, he was confusing Swift Jarrett Hurd on the inside. His footwork was better. And from a distance, when they fought at a distance, he was beating Swift Jarrett Hurd to the punch. Now that could be due to outside the ring issues, right? As his dad stated that, you know, his dad stated that, Fred Hurd stated that, you know, he may have lifted too many weights. You know, he looked sluggish and things of that nature. He looked like, you know, he was stiff. He wasn't flexible. He wasn't able to let his hands go on the inside. You know, so a lot of things played a part on the outside that we saw play out inside the ring, right? So that's a strong possibility. But what if that's not the case? What if Julian J. Rock Williams is just a better fighter when you step back in the ring and you made all these changes and these changes aren't coming into fruition? You're not having success with all these changes. You're still having adversity with this opponent because Julian J. Rock Williams, I believe, going into this fight was underestimated, right? Everybody was looking towards Jarrett Hurd versus Jermell Charlo, right? That was the fight everybody wanted to see. Jermell Charlo came up short against Tony Harrison. Whether you thought that Tony Harrison won or lost, whether you thought Jermell Charlo won or lost, at the end of the day, the judges saw Tony Harrison win that fight, and that's the way it went. So officially, Tony Harrison won the fight, regardless of what your beliefs are in that fight. With that said, you know, Jarrett Hurd was looking towards Jermell Charlo. He was coming off a shoulder surgery. He had one tune-up fight back in December on the undercard of Fury Wilder, right? And he was getting touched in that fight. Now going into this fight, you know, he chose to go with Julian J. Rock Williams, who only had one previous loss to Jermell Charlo, which was a very competitive fight until he got caught in the fight with a very, very beautiful catch and uppercut, right, from Jermell Charlo, which changed the fight. But Julian J. Rock Williams was having much success in that fight as well, right? So I think he was very underrated. I think he was being looked past, and I think that he shocked the world, right? He made us remember who he is. And so with that said, I think that, you know, making all these changes might be overlooking Julian J. Rock Williams again and placing blame on everything but the fact that Julian J. Rock Williams is a great opponent. That's my worry with this situation, right? When you start to make all these drastic changes, cutting your hair off, you know, those citing all of these issues to the reason why you lost. Not saying that he's making up excuses, you know, but when you're making all these changes, then you start to say it's time for a fresh start. You know, that's concerning. Now it could work in Swift Jarrett Hurd's favor, and it may not. You know, that's yet to be seen. But I think the fact remains is that Julian J. Rock Williams showed that he is the better boxer in the ring, right? In close quarters, he showed that he was better in close quarters. He showed that he will not get bullied. He's just as strong, if not stronger, than Jarrett Hurd, right? He has the dog in him. He has the hunger. So he's gonna walk through the fire because this was a very, very high action-packed fight. You know, Jarrett Swift Hurd didn't lay down. By no means. By no means did he lay down. No. He came to fight. Oh, it was brutal. As Julian J. Rock Williams said, look at my face after the fight. He's every bit of the dog that they say he is. Every single bit of the dog that they say he is. He's every bit of the monster that they say he is. So this is not going to be no walk in the park for Julian J. Rock Williams. What I'm saying is technically on the inside, he showed that he was technically better than Swift Jarrett Hurd on the inside, right? And from a distance, he was just as good as Swift Jarrett Hurd, right? His stamina. The dog in him was just as big and just as vicious as the dog in Swift Jarrett Hurd, right? So now you come down to tangibles and the little things, and the footwork seemed to be better than Swift Jarrett Hurd, right? His inside game was better than Swift Jarrett Hurd, right? Now, like Fred Hurd, who is the father of Swift Jarrett Hurd, said that, you know, he was stiff from lifting too many weights and things of that nature. And that very well could have played a part in his inside game and being stiff and not being able to let his hands go, right? But with that said, you know, are you not just giving enough credit to your opponent and Julian J. Rock Williams, especially if this is going to take place in his backyard in Philadelphia, right? That's going to give him even more motivation and more of the dog to dig down deep and pull out that victory in front of his people and show that it wasn't a fluke. So this is going to be a barn burner. I can't wait to see how this plays out. Swift Jarrett Hurd cuts off his hair, gets rid of his longtime trainer, Ernesto, cited that, you know, it's time for a fresh start ahead of his rematch, which looked like it's going to take place in November in Philadelphia. And I can't wait. I can't wait, man, to see how this fight plays out. The 154-pound division is absolutely steaming. You got Jermell Charlo, just knocked out his opponent in Coda. Tony Harrison, Jermell Charlo is set to take place maybe around November. You know, maybe a little bit earlier than that. We got Hurd and Williams. You know, Erickson Lubin is making a name back in the division. The division, 154-pound division, is one of the hottest, if not the hottest division in the sport of boxing. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Drop a comment in the comment section. Let me know what y'all think. Y'all already know what it is. It's your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. You haven't subscribed? Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shouts out to the entire LDBC. Shouts out to New Media. Shouts out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. Swift Jarrett Hurd making drastic changes. Fired longtime trainer Ernesto now has cut off his trademark gold hair. That's all I got for y'all. Peace.
The Blue Blood Sport TV.